All right, welcome to part 3 of the Sell to the CFO mini-series. In part 1, you learned the 5 value buckets that resonate with CFOs that get CFOs to spend money even in an economic downturn. In video 2, just a couple days ago, you learned how to get access to CFOs in the right way, and the way that helps you close more deals. In part 3, which is what you're looking at today, you are going to start learning how to build bulletproof business cases that sell and get CFOs to say yes to spending money on your solution. Now, we're going to hear from 3 CFOs of billion-dollar businesses on how to do exactly that. Tim Ritters, Jim Kelleher, and Michael DiFilippo. You're going to want to watch all the way through the end of this video though, because after we hear from these 3 CFOs, there's going to be 2 things that happen. Number 1, I'm going to spend a couple minutes translating what they said into step-by-step, super actionable sales tactics that you can start using immediately to build your own business cases that close more deals. That's the first reason. The second reason is I have a surprise for you at the end of this video, and I'm going to give you a hint. 30 people are going to win a chance at being able to attend a Q&A session with these 3 CFOs. Each of these 3 CFOs separately volunteered to host a 30-minute Q&A session on how to sell to CFOs. 30 people are going to get a chance. There's going to be 10 people in each one of these 3 Q&A sessions. I'm going to tell you exactly how you can win one of those 30 spots. We only have 30 spots, and so make sure you watch all the way to the very end. I'm going to tell you exactly how to build these business cases, as well as how to win one of these 30 spots. Let's hear from our CFOs.
So next question for you guys. Tim, let's go over to you. How do you think about the components of an ideal business case, right? Like if you were splitting a business case into its sections, is it as simple as just the R that you talked about? Is it as simple as just explaining the return and an explanation of how you got there? Or maybe let me ask the question differently. If you commissioned your FP&A team to go build a value analysis or a business case on something, what sections would you want to see in that business case?
Yeah, I think on one hand, it is pretty simple. Hey, how much is this going to cost us? And what's the R, whether it's in cost savings or potentially sort of revenue lift, things like that. Again, business cases in some of the sort of regulatory or risk management ones are a little bit harder to quantify, but cost savings or revenue maximization are pretty straightforward. Subject to 2 other caveats though, right? I think sometimes, and I think Michael was talking about this earlier, sometimes those ROIs tend to be a long way off. And I'm skeptical if there's a huge ROI, but it's going to take 3 or 4 years to get there, right? That's a lot of risk. I'd rather take smaller ROIs that you get quick value. So, making sure you understand when you're going to achieve that value. And if it's going to take some time, what measures, whether they be financial or other measures, show that you're on track, as opposed to, hey, this is not going where we want it to go. So it can't just be, I'm going to get X for Y, but how long is it going to take me, and how much risk is there in that along the way?
How often do you see business cases come across your desk from sellers or champions? Jim, I'll pass this one over to you. And you just you don't really believe it. You think it's sophomoric. It's not well put together. My guess is that CFOs roll their eyes at the majority of business cases that hit their desk, particularly from sellers. Is that true? Or do you actually dig into most of the business cases that are presented to you?
Well, those are 2 different questions. So you dig into it, and is that true? Yeah, so that is true. You see a lot that I'll call them are fluffy bullshit ones, right? And so, and in part, sometimes they're making up numbers, of what they think our costs are on stuff. And so those are very clear for a CFO to determine that's bullshit, right? And call bullshit on it. And that happens a lot. And, it even happens on our side, right? When I think, we're building business cases to sell our product. So we try to really make it like refined and get to specifics, and so that you can like it really is a little bit black and white as opposed to this whole fuzzy area of increased efficiencies or productivity. So yeah, and CFOs do dig into them, right? And so, but a really like I won't use a crass word, a really not good one, let's say. Is you can dismiss it pretty easily. You can figure it out and dismiss it, pretty easily.
Yeah, and I think if maybe one thing that I would add to what Jim said right there is if I see something that feels, I don't know, fluffy or like not realistic, one thing that you'll hear me say is, so you're committing to this? I'm gonna whatever, increase your number, decrease your number, like
Oh God,
believe it? Like, okay, your number's now going up 20% or down or whatever the number is that we're talking about. So, and that's a good way to kind of tease it out too, because if you're like, whoa, what are we talking about?
Yeah, Michael, it's so funny that you say that, because the number of conversations I have internally where I get pitched of this is going to save me 20% time. I said, oh, well, are you going to take your headcount target down by 20%?
Right.
And people stop and say, no. And I said, well, if we don't do that and we're in the cost productivity box, if we don't do that and we buy this product, all we've done is increase the cost in our P&L. Because if you're not putting that in the plan, it's not only neutral, you've increased costs and I've got no ROI. So, an advice I'd give is, in that business case, that champion needs to put their money where their mouth is, and either saying, I'm going to reduce tool spend somewhere else, I'm not hiring as many people, or I'm going to take quota up, whatever it is. But if not, it's a phantom ROI. It sounds good, but no one's committing to it.
And it's pretty easy to figure out if the champion has not really been involved in the business case, and they've simply taken something that a seller has given them and are now coming across with it. It's like third grade going into a high school math teacher or something like that. It's like, come on. Right? Are you kidding me? And you ask a couple questions and they're out of their league. And then, you're all at ground zero. So again, advice to sellers is keep it simple. Like, make sure your champion understands it. Make sure it's realistic. You can have a plus and minus on it, right? So if you put a range on it, it's usually a little bit, that CFOs like that, right? Because they know people have thought of, okay, what's the downside? What's the upside? And don't just have this one number that exactly ties to whatever the number is, 5 times return or something, right? Because we know it's just in a formula and they're plugging certain numbers in to get to it.
Yeah, I think it's important to add on to what Jim said. It's important, I think, for sellers to very much coach up their internal champions. Like, earlier, Tim had said, like, one of his things is like he always looks for the R and ROI. He doesn't ask for that like every other time. He doesn't ask for that. He asks for that every single time. Like, as a cohort of people, we CFOs, we're pretty consistent in our triggers, and like stuff that makes us nuts and stuff that we really like. But like, for example, one of my current triggers is like anything like real estate related. If your internal champion like is like just unaware in general, or like is not kind of tuned in to what it is your particular CFO kind of likes and dislikes, like that can make for a long process. So as a seller, it's not necessarily your job, but if you want to help get the deal done, is to help kind of like ensure like your champion, like, do you really know how this gal's head or how this guy's head kind of operates, and stuff that's going to really set him off versus stuff that's that's going to resonate with him, and kind of the more you're clear with that, then I think the more helpful it's the more.
All right, let's summarize and make this actionable. There are 5 elements of a business case that sells and gets CFOs to say yes. The first element is simple. What is the cost and what is the projected return? This is where most sellers stop, but this is the most basic part. You already know you have to get this part right. The second, you start to build more sophisticated business cases when you can show a time progression of that projected return. In other words, it's not enough to just say you'll get X for Y. It's how much are you going to realize over what period of time? How much do you get in a year? How much do you get in 6 months? Can you show an estimated progression of the return against the spend so that CFOs have a sense and can manage their own time-bound expectations. The third is a proposal for how you're going to track and monitor the project. Okay, you heard Tim talk about this. You heard Michael talk about this. They want to know that a project is on track after they've signed for it. They're not going to forget the conversation they had about ROI. And so in your business case, you need, or your champion more accurately, needs to put in some sort of proposal for how you are going to measure whether you're on track or off track against the promised ROI you're baking into that business case. This is probably one of the most powerful things that you can do to really ratchet up your business cases if you're not already doing this. This is how you give CFOs peace of mind. Number 4, the business case needs to be champion-led rather than seller-led. Too many business cases are a salesperson doing all of the homework with only cursory input from the champion, and they pass it over the champion. The champion walks into a meeting with the CFO, and it is like walking into the lion's den. It becomes very clear that the champion is not intimate with the business case. It becomes very clear that the seller put the business case together, and it's not based on actual company data. So the fourth element of a business case that sells is this needs to be co-authored with your champion. You cannot let your champion off the hook and do all the work for them. Okay, this isn't about making them do work. It's about forcing them to become familiar with the business case and basing it off their company's own data. It must be co-authored with them, rather than you saying, well, we've done this for other companies, so you can expect, XYZ. Okay, that does not resonate with CFOs at all. Now, the fifth and final element of business cases that sell is commitment from the champion. And I'm not just talking about like mindset commitment, like, yeah, we're going to achieve this. It is, I am willing to do X to make sure we deliver the promises that are in this business case. You heard from those CFOs just a minute ago. If a business case is promising productivity gains or time efficiency or something like that, the CFOs are going to ask, are you willing to commit to that in the sense of making a trade-off on your P&L? Are you willing to reduce your headcount because now you have all this freed up time? Or are you willing to increase your number? Now, not all business cases are going to require that level of trade-off, but you have to keep in mind that CFOs don't care about gross financial return. They care about the net positive impact you're making on their profit and loss statement. So if you're adding $100,000 worth of expenses to their profit and loss through your time-saving productivity app, but all you're doing is saving people time and they're not decreasing their headcount or increasing their numbers in some way, then you have deteriorated their P&L statement. So you have to get your champion to be willing to commit to whatever ROI you're proposing in the form of some sort of trade-off, whether they're willing to hire fewer people, whether it's getting rid of spend somewhere else, increasing their number. You've got to make a net positive impact on the P&L, not just promise a gross financial return. Key. Okay, so as you zoom in, there's one more point I want to make, and then we're going to get into these surprise bonuses I talked about at the beginning of this video. When you start to build out your business case, you want to make sure you're clear on these 3 things. Usually these are in like the first section. If you go back to those 5 elements, you need a clear definition of the problem. You're probably already doing that. At least I hope so. The other thing you need, and I'm going to zero in on number 2 because you can read and we'll skip number 3, is you need a clear analysis of the root cause of the problem in your business case, right? Because if you present a problem without coaching your champion to talk through the perceived root cause, they can get beat up pretty bad internally because other people can push back on why they're wanting to spend money on something when they have a different perception on what's causing the problem and would therefore lead them to buy a totally different solution than what you do. So make sure you're baking these 3 things into the business case so that your champion is equipped. The final part of this is, I'm not going to share this in the example I'm about to walk you through, is create a mutual success plan that shows what happens from signature to realized value, that you and your champion can be held accountable by the CFO, so they feel like you have a rock solid plan for getting value out of the spend that they're about to make. You're probably familiar with mutual success plans and closing deals. Make sure you're creating mutual success plans in delivering the solution after the signature. So I'm going to walk you through a super short example. It excludes some of these elements because it would showcase which customer I'm talking about, and parts I'm going to show you are not evident, right? They're obfuscated. So I'm going to walk you through an example. We're selling pClub for Business to another SaaS company, a Series A SaaS company. pClub for Business is a sales skill building platform. And so the first slide is we have the summary of the business case, right? It's like the executive summary slide. We are proposing to improve close rates. Today, their close rates are 30%. We believe we can ratchet them up by 300 basis points or up to 33%. And you can see the summarized value here is £280,000 because we are selling to a company in the UK of incremental annual recurring revenue over a 12-month period. Now we start to get into the how. We are going to improve your sales cycle across all of these stages: discovery, demo, business case, etc. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail here. Now, here's where things start to break down in a good way and get really interesting. This slide is what their life looks like today before pClub for Business. And so we've got two sides of the screen here. We have existing opportunities that are already open, right? These are early stage opportunities that if you move forward with us, we can probably move the needle on your close rates. And then you have the forecasted generated opportunities that you're going to generate over the next year that will be able to influence positively because they haven't been generated yet. And so this company had two segments of their business. They had the corporate segment, which is mid-market, and they had enterprise. And so you can see they had 25 open opportunities. Each one is worth about $10,000, 30% close rates, expected revenue, £75,000 from this segment of the business. Enterprise, you can see the story there. I won't go into all the detail. Now over here on the to be generated side, they're forecasting 200 opportunities to be generated over the next 12 months in their corporate business, each worth the same amount. If they didn't move forward with pClub for Business, they'd have a 30% close rate, expected revenue, £600,000. Enterprise, you can see the story there. We end with expected revenue of a little over 2 million. So the total revenue they're going to get from this picture, right? This is before implementing pClub for Business, is about 3.1 million pounds and some change. Okay, that's the before state, that's today. Now we take the exact same picture, highlight the changes, and show the incremental revenue that we're working on delivering with them. So instead of 30%, we've increased their close rates to 33%. And you can see how these numbers move positively, right? I'd encourage you to go rewind 60 seconds and compare the previous slide to this one. And you can see how there's extra cash or revenue being generated in their business across all four of these categories. So now total revenue, if they move forward with pClub for Business, is $3.4 million in change. And so we're looking, not dollars, pounds. So we're looking at another solid £280,000 in incremental revenue over a 12-month period. They were going to spend, or they will spend, about $70,000 on this. And so we're looking at about a 4x anticipated ROI. And so I wanted to walk you through an example so you know what good looks like. I'm going to put this example deck in a link below this video. You can take a look at it. You can make a copy of it and start to use the structure and use it in your own environment. So if you liked what you learned in this series, you're going to love the two surprises that I have next for you. The first surprise is coming this Wednesday, March 15th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. That exact time matters, and I'm going to share why. We are launching and opening for registration Release the Funds, which is the ultimate online video course to absolutely master selling to CFOs in a tough economic environment. This is the ultimate masterclass. This is how you go from 0 or 5 or 6 to 10 out of 10 when it comes to your skills selling to CFOs. so you can close more deals, you can close bigger deals, and you can stop the madness of deals continually slipping into the next quarter because you can't get the CFO on board. Now, here's a quick rundown of the modules. We're going to be talking about the new economy and why CFO is king and queen. We're going to talk about an entire module on 11 deadly mistakes to avoid when selling to CFOs, a crash course on how to speak CFO so you can talk to them with confidence, how and why to build above the noise business value and exactly how to do that, how to select, develop, coach, and manage champions that can get CFO approval and get your deal closed. We'll go far deeper on business cases that sell and get CFOs to say yes than what we covered in this video today. And then a couple more, how to get access to CFOs directly and indirectly in more depth than we've covered in this mini series, along with getting budget approval, defending price, negotiating, and closing. In other words, you're going to learn how to win with CFOs and sell to them with total confidence so you can close bigger deals faster. Now, all of our courses, we have a number of courses for SaaS sellers. They've helped thousands of salespeople sell their way through this economic downturn. We're approaching 4,000 students so far, and we expect this course to be our best one yet. People are absolutely raving about our previous courses. They're achieving life-changing outcomes, and it's something to be said that we think this course is going to move the needle even more for B2B sales professionals. So let me give you a heads up on what the investment is going to be if you sign up on the early bird pricing. Now, what it's not going to cost is probably what the course is worth, which is about $100,000. This is what we would charge to do this live in person for a company. It's not going to cost that. It's not going to cost the $50,000 we would charge to essentially do this course live virtually with a company. In fact, you don't even have to pay full price for the course, which full price is eventually going to be $497 after the early bird sign-up period. Instead, if you sign up immediately, you can secure early bird pricing on Wednesday, March 15th at 8 a.m. when we open registration for only $297. That's insane. Think about the millions worth of revenue that you're going to be able to close with these skills, and the tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars over a career that this knowledge could be worth to you, and you can get it as long as you sign up fast for only $297. My CPA is going to slap me across the face. He is going to say I'm leaving so much money on the table, but that's okay. I want to make sure this is affordable and reachable and accessible to everybody. That's why we're pricing it at $297, at least during that early bird sign-up window. The price is going to go up to $497. So you have at least one reason to act fast. I'm going to give you a second reason to act fast in just a second. So keep your eyes peeled for the open registration email that I'm going to send you. It's going to hit your inbox at 8 a.m. exactly Pacific time on Wednesday, March 15th. Now, here's your second reason you're going to want to act fast. You get a free surprise bonus if and only if you're one of the first 30 people to sign up. Now, when we do this, we usually get to 30 people within the first 30 minutes or so. I think that's going to happen even faster for this course because people are telling us how much they can't wait for it. And this bonus is going to drive people to sign up faster. So you are going to want to mark your calendar for 8 a.m. Pacific time on the 15th to get the bonus I'm about to tell you. I would go mark your calendar now so you don't forget, because these 30 signups are going to go fast. Here's the bonus. All three CFOs, all three of the billion-dollar CFOs have generously volunteered to each separately host a dedicated 30-minute Ask Me Anything Q&A how to sell to CFO session. In other words, if you're one of the first 30 people, you'll be among 10 people in each session that get to talk directly with one of these billion-dollar CFOs on how to sell to them. You'll get to ask questions about how to sell to them, how they think, how they make decisions, how they buy, and what other mistakes they see salespeople making. The knowledge you can come away with in one of these sessions, it's got to be worth at least tens of thousands of dollars in commissions that you'll be able to close This is incredibly valuable knowledge, and I'm so grateful these CFOs volunteered their time to help you as a sales professional out. So we're at the end. Here's exactly what to do next, step by step. First, keep your eyes peeled for the email I sent. I'm going to send it to you at 8 a.m. Wednesday, March 15th, Pacific time. It'll hit your inbox then. Be ready for it. You'll get a link to a page where you can learn a little bit more about the course if you want to, and you can sign up as soon as you're ready to. On that page, you're going to notice there's a countdown timer. When that countdown timer is gone, early bird pricing is gone for good, and those bonuses are going to be gone forever. So you're going to want to sign up fast. As soon as you do sign up, you'll enter your email and create a password. You'll immediately be taken into our course portal where you can start watching some of the course, and you'll have instant access to the first 2 modules of Release the Funds. And we're going to continue releasing each module every week thereafter until we're done. In other words, on March 15th, the first 2 of 8 modules are going to be ready. And then every week you'll get module 3, then module 4, and so on and so on. So Wednesday, 8 a.m., claim lifetime access to all of this. It'll be yours forever. Snag one of these 30 spots to talk to these CFOs. You're really going to want to act on this fast. And I will see you on Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific time, Wednesday, the 15th, March 15th. I'm so excited for this. I hope you're as excited for me. This is going to be one of the most powerful online courses for B2B sales professionals in a really long time. And I hope you join us. I'll see you on Wednesday.